Hello, welcome to Local Anaesthetic Podcast, the most trusted name in local news. My name is Alex, and joining us, as always, via Skype is Rob. How you doing, Rob?
Hello, mate. Yeah, not too bad at all. Yeah, I'm a bit. I've managed to avoid the rain so far today, so that's always an advantage.
Yeah, I did too, and I was sort of pretty smug with myself, you know. This is episode 268 now. Is that correct?
278.
278?
Yeah.
Wow. So it literally is 22 episodes to go until 300 episodes.
Until we go to Eagle Heights, that's correct.
Till we go to Eagle Heights. I'm beginning to regret signing up to that, but yeah, 300. This episode, everybody, you know, we all know you like tuning into your sort of weekly edition of Local Anaesthetic News, and we always have a listener story at the end of each episode. Well, we're doing a listener story special because we have had so many stories, Rob, and I think we said the next episode is going to have to be a listener story special too, because we've got so many high quality stories, we've got to start going through them, and because otherwise our inbox is going to become too full, Rob.
Yeah, we've had, the quality of the stories and the sheer volume of the stories have been submitted over the last couple of weeks, months, has been superb. I'd also like to apologise to Jack and also to Helen, because I was slightly behind in the correspondence. So they received their pilot episode slightly delayed, in Jack's case more than 3 weeks late. But at least you've got it now.
And the excuse for that, Rob, is what? Hello.
I've been busy.
I think we need an administrator. We need like a PA.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to apply for that role, please feel free. Just drop us your CV to the LA podcast email, and we'll invite you in for an interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Rob, have you got any news, or can I start us off? We've got so much. Every story this week is from a listener. So, anything to say before we start?
No. Oh, one thing actually. Sorry. We had an email from Russ in Vancouver.
Ah, yeah, we did. We've heard from him before, Russ in Vancouver.
We have,
he sent stories. Yeah, I remember the guy who I think fell overboard off a boat or something like that. There was something going on.
That's right. Yeah, that's the right. Yeah, and there was another story which I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. And I can't remember, but he just wrote to say. So hi Alex and Rob. I'm sorry that I haven't sent you any stories in a while. I'm still listening, but haven't found many stories worth sending. And then he sent us a link to one of our stories, apparently, which relate to an animal attack. So I'm guessing that was the is it a mountain lion? Is that right?
Yeah, brilliant story.
Yeah. Now the video he sent us, which is on YouTube, this relates to. Now I saw this clip. It relates to a sea lion pulling a young girl into the water.
Oh yeah, no, I think we covered it on this. Yeah, we covered it. I'm pretty sure we covered it on the podcast. Yes.
We may have done. I can't remember now. But yeah, he sent us a link to that. And also, he sent us a link. Now, I'm not going to feature the story, but I'm going to put it onto the Facebook post because I think it works better in a visual medium. So it seems that librarians have been submitting on Twitter their most comical book titles they can find. How's
that not going to work on an audio medium? How's that not going to work? Tell me the book titles.
Well, all it is it will just be me reading out book titles. That's all it is.
But that's exactly what we do when we read out lists.
I mean, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Well,
tell me some book titles. Give us a flavour and then you can put the rest on Facebook.
Okay, hang on. Let me open. I haven't got the link open. Bear me 1 second. Okay.
So these are comical book titles, real books that have funny titles.
These are real books that have, I think, slightly strange. I mean, it's the epitome of our episode, of our podcast in book titles. So we have successful meerkat farming. Sorry, successful muskrat. I misread that. I'm not even sure what a muskrat is.
Look it up, Rob. You should know.
A crime thriller called Fillet of Murder.
Okay, that's poor.
There's a Team Dance, a guide to canine freestyle.
There are so many kind of potential episode titles in here, Rob.
The next one is.
I mean, canine freestyle is not a word I thought I'd hear. No. You know, a phrase I'd hear.
And I'm not entirely sure what this is. It looks like some sort of trashy novel, just entitled "Please God, Let It Be Herpes."
Okay, I think we get the idea.
So there's some really comical stories, headlines in there. Titles, I should say.
Book titles, Rob. I can see it's been a long day. Stick it up on Facebook and people can check out the rest. Okay, I'm going to start off our listener story special, Rob, with a story from my father.
Okay. Because
he actually sent me one this week, and it's from the Bournemouth Echo, because he does peruse the Bournemouth Echo website, and this is a great story. It's from yesterday. We're recording for the fastidious amongst you on the 18th of June, 2018. 19, sorry. God, missed out a year
nice.
there. Police tell man who robbed bank with a banana to go to town police station and hand himself in.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
A man who held up a bank with a banana...
Fine. I'll save the joke till later, Alex. You just carry on.
No, go on. What were you going to say?
Was he a slippery customer?
Well, it's not really much of a pun, because that only works once you've slipped on a banana skin, but bananas aren't slippery in and of themselves, Rob. You could have said you could have said, something about monkeying around. Maybe that might be better.
Just
or asked did he live at 6 Acacia Avenue? Was that the address of Banana Man? Pretty sure
question.
It was. Something Acacia Avenue. Yeah. I can't remember the number. A man who held up a bank with a banana tried to hand himself to police immediately, but had to walk 2 miles to Bournemouth Police Station to get arrested after officers near the scene refused to take him into custody.
What?
The court heard that Lawrence Vonderdell, 50, decided to rob Barclays Boscombe branch on March 25th this year in order to get arrested and secure a roof over his head after being evicted from a Christchurch Road flat. So you with me so far, Rob? He gets evicted. He needs a place to live. He has to find a way to get arrested, so he chooses to hold up a bank with a banana.
So he had no intention of actually robbing this bank, basically?
Well, CCTV footage played in court showed him pacing up and down outside the bank with a Sainsbury's orange bag wrapped around an object. As he entered the building, he pointed the orange Sainsbury's bag at the sole cashier, Wendy Marsh. Mr. Stuart Ellicott, prosecuting, said he told her to give him all the money in the till. Vonderdell spoke again, and on his third demand for all the 20s, the cashier complied, activated the emergency alarm, and Vonderdell left with £1,200. The weapon concealed in the bag was later discovered to be a banana.
Can I just clarify? This is a euphemism. This wasn't his penis. It was definitely the fruit.
It was definitely the fruit, Rob.
Right.
Anne-Marie Garvey, defending, said her client had seen a police car afterwards and approached officers, saying he'd committed an armed robbery and, in quotes, wanted to get arrested. They refused to do that and told him to go to the local police station. He then walked several miles to hand himself in. Miss Garvey said Vonderdell had committed an offence to secure a roof over his head and had no intention of hurting anyone. He didn't want a successful bail application made, she said, adding he had no intention to spend the proceeds of his crime and showed demonstrable remorse for his actions as well as showing concern for the welfare of the cashier. The court heard that Vonderdell, who admits robbery and possession of an imitation firearm... Can I just say, a banana is not a very good imitation firearm.
No, I mean, I understand that when you're in that situation, if you weren't, you're obviously unclear about what that was that he was brandishing, but that seems unfair.
Yeah, well, basically, the court heard that he suffered with numerous psychiatric conditions and had been evicted after breaking the conditions of his tenancy. From a human point of view, it's a very sad case indeed, said Miss Garvey. Judge Robert Paulson said he's gone into a bank with a banana in a plastic bag. It sounds laughable, but the cashier didn't know that. What would have happened if an armed response unit had been called? Which is a very good point. Well, yeah. I think if he was in the States, he would have been shot dead pretty quickly, especially if he wasn't white. Describing the case as extraordinary and noting Vonderdell's plea of guilty at the earliest opportunity, as well as the recovery of all the money and his remorse, Judge Paulson sentenced him to 14 months in prison on both counts to run concurrently. Before I read the comments, Rob, I forgot to tell you, and I wanted to mention it on the podcast, because about 2 months ago, I was in my car coming back from grocery shopping and saw a man walking down the high street, an older gentleman who I suspect probably had some kind of dementia, I have to be honest, having a full-blown mobile phone conversation, but into a banana. So... He was walking along with a banana held up to his ear, having a proper conversation that I was sat in stationary traffic, and for the 5 minutes I watched him, had the whole conversation, and ended with hanging up with the banana, like pretending to press a button on it and putting it in his jacket pocket.
I'm not sure we should be laughing about that, Alex. That sounds quite tragic in many ways.
It was, but Rob, whichever way you cut it, it was humorous to witness.
I think it would have been more humorous if he finished the call than ate the banana. Personally, I don't know.
Nothing to fear, says checks calendar, confirms that it isn't April the 1st yet. Extra Mature says every day is April the 1st in Boscombe. Because I'm sure you remember, Rob, we've had lots of stories from a specific area in Bournemouth called Boscombe, which I've never had the pleasure to go to.
No.
Roger of Bournemouth is lucky to find the police station is still open, which is a good point considering
that's a fair point, yeah, absolutely.
And Dorset Rover says, quite a remarkable failure of the police to do their duty, which I quite like as an episode title. A remarkable failure of the police to do their duty. We're not police bashing, it's just like the collection of words there.
That makes me feel uncomfortable.
Okay, Rob, let's hear from Helen, who is down in Plymouth, of course.
That's correct, yes, that's absolutely right.
And this is by Carl Eve, crime reporter from the Plymouth Live. And Helen has a history of sending cracking stories. I have to say, we've got so many. I was saying to Rob that normally with listener stories, we really have to sift through them and find the gems. But every one I was looking at was a gem. So we're going to have to just fill up however many episodes with covering them. But this is a good story, Rob. Headline: Violence breaks out at bell ringing competition in one of Devon's poshest villages.
Okay.
Yeah, this is this is a quintessentially local story, Rob.
Brilliant.
Bell ringers were left dealing with a right old ding-dong after an angry Nos Mayo resident took issue with their parking and then their ringing. So this area that this resident is from is called Nos Mayo. Noss, new word, Mayo. Nos Mayo. Which just sounds completely made up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those places that, you know, when you try and think of like a made-up village in the UK,
yeah,
that would not be high on your list at all. I mean, that doesn't even sound like it's in the UK, let alone anything else.
No, exactly. The annual bell ringing festival sees several teams from across the deanery in South Devon come together to show off their skills. The festival cum competition, interestingly, cum is written C-U-M. Interesting.
That's fine, Alex. So that's quite a traditional English spelling of the word cum. In that context.
But not in an article where we're talking about bell ringing.
I mean, often there's a lot of bells involved in coming.
The festival cum competition has taken place for more than 50 years and bell ringing groups from Plymstock, Ivybridge, Wembury, Plymouth, Shaw Prior, Bickley, Holberton and Plimpton. I have never heard of Plimpton, but it sounds fantastic.
Someone's having this up. These places do not exist.
All take part. Each year, a different part of the deanery hosts the event, and last Saturday, for the first time in several years, St Peter's Church in Stoke Road, built in the late 1800s, was agreed the venue. However, sources claim that Saturday's festival nearly came to a crashing end after a resident interrupted proceedings with a bitter complaint about the campanologist's cacophony. So I assume a bell ringer is called a campanologist.
Is
that true?
Yeah, because apparently my...
a boy from the country would know that, Rob.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, that's supposed to be true. What was it? What would his relation be? I don't know. One of my, extended family members used to be a campanologist. Yeah, he was. I think he was like chairman of the local bell ring society.
Okay. The source told the Plymouth Live, this man, in his late 60s, came in complaining about a bell ringer's car being parked across his drive. He started demanding to know whose car it was, and when it transpired it was one of the team members who was actually ringing at that moment in the tower, he attempted to storm the tower, Rob.
Yeah, because I can imagine he was keen to wring their necks.
Yeah, good. He had to be restrained from forcing his way into the tower and dragging the car owner out. He refused even to wait for a few minutes. It was a shocking sight. He was shouting and swearing. Grown men were thumping each other. Children were upset and crying.
Fucking hell. How can you be that outraged by this?
Punch up in a church, Rob. Then when he was held back, he went and sat on the floor, refusing to move, swearing and shouting about the bell ringing, complaining about the noise. This is a Michael Douglas from Falling Down moment, Rob. It's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, this is a man who's been pushed too far, and apparently the bell ring was the final straw.
For whom the bell tolls, Rob.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a right old ding-dong.
Yeah, they made that pun in the article. You can't co-opt it.
I missed that.
Listen to this. You know how we like good names, Rob. You want to hear a good name?
Of course.
Barry Fursland. So if you think Barry, Barrie, now imagine his surname visually. Furzlend.
I like that.
Barry Fursland.
I like that a lot.
He's captain of the tower. at St. Peter's Church confirmed that an incident took place on Saturday, but insisted nobody's driveway was blocked at any time. He said, "There's a little slip road up by the church, and cars were parked just north of it. It absolutely wasn't a case of someone parking across his driveway. Far from it. There was clearly access to and from his driveway, because whilst he was in church ranting and raving, his relatives drove up the road and parked in his driveway."
Nice.
He had kicked off regarding cars and vehicles before, having a go at the church warden once when they were escorting a person to a funeral at the church.
Oh, fuck off. So this, I'm sorry, this guy looks like an arsehole, so he's got form then.
He's a man on the edge, Rob. People were pretty upset about it. There were women and children in the church. The youngest child was just 3, and this man nearly knocked the child over during the episode. He tried to access the tower, demanding to get the car keys off the owner. Now, I'm captain of the tower, and I've been ringing bells in this church tower for 60 years, and let me tell you, they can be quite dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. He was seriously angry and tried to climb up to the ringing chamber to stop the ringing. He wasn't prepared to wait 10 minutes. Our group secretary tried to stop him, and he was grabbed around the throat.
Can I just say, I don't know why, I've been imagining that last paragraph in like a really gruff Cockney accent. "I'm the captain of this tower. The bells can be quite dangerous if you don't know what you do with them."
I like that, Rob. 2 or 3 of the other men stepped in and stopped him. He had to be dragged out, and when he got outside the front door, kicking and screaming, he just sat down on the floor. He wasn't going to get up and sat there swearing, shouting abuse at everybody, complaining about bells. We are very close to calling the police.
Can I just say, Alex, sorry. I don't interrupt, but there's just something about the phrase complaining about bells.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We are very close to calling the police, and I've told the group secretary that this is a matter of assault. Barry said the church's Reverend Anne Leggy even came over and volunteered to go and contact the aggrieved resident, but he did not think it would be well received. He said, "I don't think he was a religious man, by the way he was screaming and shouting at people." Well, Barry, thou should not judge. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone, or let him who is without sin ring the first bell.
I wonder if he's got a doorbell or knocker, and then every time the doorbell rings, he just slowly
loses
his soul dies. Yeah.
To be honest, it's the worst incident I've ever witnessed as what is usually a fun afternoon for people. That suggests there have been other incidents of this nature to me.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
The event is once a year, held at different churches around the deanery. It's been going on for between 50 and 70 years as I understand it. Clearly, he didn't like the bells, but let's be frank, what do you expect buying a house right by a church that's been there for more than 100 years?
I mean, it's a fair point, to be honest.
This is a story that keeps giving, Rob.
Yeah.
Barry was quite surprised to hear other residents in the Nossmere area also took to social media to complain about the bell ringing. One described 4 hours of bell ringing as a bit extreme. Another said it was driving them insane, while a third added they were considering taking their hedge trimmers to the bell ropes. Wow. I mean, this is a real problem in this village or whatever it is, Rob. This is a really serious problem.
In all fairness, 4 hours of bell ringing is a long time.
Yeah. Barry said he was surprised some people in the village didn't know of the festival. He said, "It's been advertised for 2 or 3 weeks across the town. People have been talking about it, and the teams were coming over and practicing at St. Peter's Church for the past few weeks. When people moan, it's once every 5 to 10 years, and it's only 3 or 4 hours. These are the people who sit looking at their bleeding computer screens for several hours, and in my mind, that's pretty sad." He's really lashing out now, Rob.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holiday homes in Nossmere, and some people only spend a few days a year here. They don't get involved in village life. They just want to sit in their holiday homes. Every village in Devon has a church and a peal of bells. Quite a few are still ringing. The ringing of bells in this country is getting on for 200 to 300 years. It's part of British life, and it's something that needs to be kept. Police have confirmed they were not called to any ding-dongs in the Noss Mayo area.
Just going on one thing he picked up on, I mean, he was saying that people in the area have been talking about it for some time. I suspect the only people talking about it are those involved in the event.
Yes, absolutely. My next story, Rob, I think it's going to have to be this one. I just need to remember who it's from. Jack, who is not on the Asian Sex Tour anymore, but is somewhere else in the world, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, what did he say? What was his latest update? I have a feeling he's in Italy. I think that's what he's mentioned, yeah.
Well, I like Jack already because he appears to be a reader of the Washington Post, as am I, whose strapline is "Democracy dies in darkness," Rob. But this story has nothing to do with democracy. It's to do with animals.
Right.
And it's from April the 17th by Michael Bryce Sadler. A man chucked his iguana at restaurant staff, police say. The lizard is in intensive care.
Wow.
Now, for any American listeners out there that we've got, don't tell us you can't find stories when we've got ones like this knocking about. Arnold Teeter, Rob, his real name, was loud and unruly on Tuesday morning when he entered a Perkins restaurant in Painesville, Ohio, police say. The 49-year-old lay down in a booth and chucked a menu at a server, a jarring outburst that drew the attention of the restaurant's manager, who sought to calm the man. But Teeter wasn't out of projectiles. Police say the man reached under his sweatshirt and unveiled his next weapon of choice, a 2-foot-long iguana, which he swung in a circular motion above his head, Rob, and flung at the manager. So I'm going to illustrate for you now over webcam. You know what I mean. Swing it around like your head. This is like a lasso. This is a live animal. But he missed, Rob. Sorry.
Oh, thank God for that. This doesn't make any sense. So why did he go in there to lie down?
Well, I'm hoping we'll get the answer. He missed, sending the poor lizard sliding across the tile floor. I just got an image, though. So can you imagine this iguana just hitting the wall, Rob? Sliding down.
Yeah, but I can just imagine there's a lot of blood as well. And I don't know, are they cold-blooded reptiles?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
Part of aren't all reptiles cold-blooded?
I believe so, yes. But again, my knowledge in this area is slightly lacking.
The British university system, best in the world. Part of the incident was caught on camera in the restaurant, which shows T to pick up the iguana by its tail before leaving, so I'm assuming he just dragged out the injured iguana.
It does sound that way.
Lieutenant Toby Burgett of the Painesville Police Department told the Washington Post that Teeter was arrested about 30 minutes later outside the local YMCA, where officers found him walking in an erratic manner that forced vehicles to swerve out of his way. Basically, that means walking in a sort of zigzag style across a busy road.
Just out of interest, he wasn't trying to get arrested so he could find a bed for the night, was he? Well, him and his pet iguana, apparently.
Burgett said Teeter claimed ownership of the lizard, which police retrieved from his sweatshirt and affectionately named Copper.
So, hang on. So, as you rightly say, he took the iguana out from underneath it, threw it at a member of staff, then, as you say, retrieved the iguana and then put it back underneath his jumper.
Absolutely.
Right.
Officers soon granted custody of their new cold-blooded friends.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
To the Lake County Humane Society. A vet determined she was suffering from poor body condition, metabolic bone disease, and a leg fracture that will require surgery to repair. Copper, who is a brilliant shade of turquoise, was also missing part of her tail. We've seen a few cases of animal cruelty in the past, but we haven't seen anything involving an iguana, Burgett said. He added that Teeter was no stranger to the department, an observation corroborated by online court records. It was not clear Wednesday if Teeter had an attorney. He was charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and cruelty to animals. He's being held on a $10,000 bond, Rob, if you want to release him. Nope. The Post reviewed footage and still images from the camera inside Perkins. Inside Perkins? That's a strange choice of phrase. I'm assuming it wasn't hidden inside an orifice.
Oh, that's the restaurant. Perkins is the restaurant, as you said.
Oh, that's it. Sorry. Yeah. I thought his name was Perkins, yes. At one point, Teeter is seen carrying the iguana on his shoulder, like a parrot, Rob. Right. Perkins' restaurant declined to comment. The Lake County Humane Society was closed Wednesday, and Copper's condition was not immediately clear. But in photos provided by the Painesville Police Department, the reptile appears to be in good spirits.
I really hope they didn't just dump it outside this Humane Society waiting for it to open the following day.
Yeah.
At which point they realised that it was in critical condition.
Four Corners Castle fan says, I hope Copper gets a better life. For the man, we can swing him by his gadget and let him fly and see how he'd do on the tile floor. Which is the eye for an eye philosophy there, Rob.
Yeah.
Rag626 says, when my son was small, we took him to a local amusement park that we frequented, and a man in front of us on the tram had two iguanas, one on each shoulder. They each had a collar on and a chain leash that he had attached to something else. God knows where or what, and I didn't try and find out. I will never forget that. Not my choice for pets, but none of my business. I hope Copper is okay. I prefer to leave these animals in the habitat they came from. Lawyer Mama 176 says, I had a pet iguana for many years. His name was Mr. Pretty. I still mourn him, and I hate to think of these innocent animals being used as props and getting hurt. I hope he gets some jail time. I'm assuming they mean Teeter or whatever his name was, and not the iguana.
I have to say, what a bizarre set of comments.
This is from the Washington Post, Rob.
Yeah. Obviously a better class of commentator without a doubt, but...
Well, also, I hope you noticed that even though that was a small, slightly comical, locally based news story, it was infinitely better written as it was written by a proper journalist, Rob. Okay, Rob, you got a story for us there.
Yeah, so my first story this week is from Kyber. Who is obviously encroaching on Craig's patch because we are featuring the Wales Online website.
Oh, now that's an aggressive move, Rob.
It is, but I mean...
It's kind of saying to Craig, it's a shot across the bow saying, Craig, why haven't you submitted a story? I hope Craig is okay and hasn't had an accident in the abattoir.
Yeah, no, I think he's fine. I mean, he gave us a theme last week.
Oh, right, okay.
For...
meat? Was it meat? Was the theme meat, Rob?
Yeah, it was cuts of meat, that's right.
Yeah.
Shank, no. And also, I have to say, Amy has just gone into overdrive and been just submitting story after story from all over the fucking shop.
Can I just say, Amy, I have lots of your stories. I am going to do them. They're all brilliant. I mean, yeah, Amy has sent an incredible bumper crop, and they're all good.
And I've got two here, but the first one is from Kyber. Anyway, so this is
you're telling me those other stories you sent me were additional ones from Amy?
Yes.
Holy shit.
I mean, if you look on the listener forum, it's just story after story after story. Just all from Amy. Yeah. So, kudos. Anyway, so this story is by Victoria Jones from the 11th of May. And the headline, a woman bought a loaf of Kingsmill bread that was full of crusts.
Eh? What? Like the bread, the middle bit of the bread was just cut out and it was just crusts?
It was just a whole pack of just crusts. There is no bits in between, if that makes sense.
But I see a marketing opportunity here. Because they make the bread without the crust. Why not just make a loaf of just crusts, sponsored by Krusty the Clown?
No one wants that. Who wants that?
It's my Krusty the Clown. It's very bad.
Surely that's Woody Woodpecker, wasn't it?
Was it?
I can't do an impression.
Yeah, what's Krusty the Clown's laugh then?
No, that's not it, is it?
That was the best noise I've ever heard.
What is Krusty the Clown's laugh?
He does that a lot. I don't know.
Yeah,
let's get on with it, Rob.
All she wanted was a piece of toast. But when Timia Ganji opened her Kingsmill loaf, she discovered it was full of crusts. The 41-year-old also needed to prepare lunch for her children with no time to grab another loaf. And she did not see the funny side.
Sorry, no, there's something I don't understand about this story.
Right.
When you pick up a loaf of bread off the shelf, it comes in a transparent sort of wrapper with printing on it. You would see that it was full of crusts.
But it's a Kingsmill loaf which has like a yellow banner across the
I've
length of the packet.
But it wouldn't retain its bread loaf shape, would it, if it was just crust inside? Or does she mean that the bread was just... Well, is it like the end of the bread, just constantly the end of the bread in slices?
No, it looks like, from the pictures she's basically... It looks like... And again, I think it's similar to Meat Face, where someone's been having a joke in the factory, because it's basically, you've got the end bit, or the start and the end of the loaf, put together, basically got pairs of crusts.
I see what you mean, yes.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's not a funny thing first thing in the morning when we have half an hour to get the kids to school, there's no time to get another loaf.
She could still make sandwiches out of that.
But
okay, so it's the end of the bread, so what? It wasn't going to kill the kids, was it?
No, but the kids might complain.
Oh, so I have to write into a paper.
Kingsmill are looking into the problem, Alex.
Their crust investigations department.
And sent the mother from Radcliffe on Trent in Nottinghamshire, in quotes, a more conventional loaf.
What a brilliant phrase. Can I just say, I want to release an album called A More Conventional Loaf.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I must admit, there's something about... I do like that as a possible episode title, just a more conventional loaf. Because it doesn't really tell you an awful lot.
It's brilliant.
They say that more than a quarter of all bread thrown away are the crusts. It looked just like a normal loaf when we bought it, she told the BBC. Apparently the BBC covered this story. God knows why.
Baby, that's not helping you on a week. That's not helping you on a week when you're cutting the TV licence for the over 75s, covering a story like this. No,
that's true. Because of the yellow packaging, you couldn't see it properly. You can see it sliced, but you couldn't see it's all just crusts. Then, in the morning, I wanted some toast and to make sandwiches, and I was just staring at it. I really couldn't understand how it could happen.
So, Rob, what's to stop this woman having bought a regular loaf of Kingsmill that was perfectly fine, that was a conventional loaf, removing the bread and just putting these in it that she'd been collecting over the weeks just to make a name for herself and get... Well, she didn't really get compensation. She just got sent another loaf of bread. I mean, Kingsmill hardly went to town on this, did they? They didn't give her 10 loaves. They didn't give her a voucher. They just replaced like for like and told her to fuck off.
No, Alex, they're investigating it. They're trying to work out how, one of their products was sent out with just crusts.
It could be bread fraud, Rob. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true, Alex. Yeah. The restaurant owner posted the pictures to Facebook, and she had some helpful comments about eating her crusts for curly hair, but she was having none of it. Maybe I like curly hair, but I don't want a hairy chest, she said. She said she loves baguettes, sourdough, or tiger bread, but sadly for her, she thinks the ends are not as tasty.
Not a euphemism.
You can't make sandwiches with them, and the kids won't eat them.
Okay. Fine.
Mrs. Ganji said she considered adding the bread to a meatloaf or making breadcrumbs.
But in the end, couldn't be bothered.
In the end, just threw them at the kids. Right, so my next story is from Amy. It's from the...
Well, it's Amy from Nottingham.
She's actually... Oh, God, she told me, and I always get this wrong.
Because aren't all her stories from the Nottingham Live?
Nottingham Derby, mainly, yeah. I think... Yeah. Amy, if I get this wrong, I apologise. I think she's from Long Eaton.
Okay.
I hope. She has told me, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, she sent me the story from the Kent Live, but for some reason, the link stopped working, so this is from the Kent Online website. There's no journalist listed. It's from the 30th of June, so very current. Glazed ring donut joke gets city boss from Kent suspended.
Now, I saw this because
did you?
You've sent me this story from her, and it was one that I was going to read out. You must have duplicated it, but I only read the beginning of it and thought, yep, this is a good story. I haven't read it all, so I still want to know about it. But
apologies. Okay. So a city boss has been suspended after he bought donuts for staff for his birthday, joking one of his colleagues loves a glazed ring. James Conmey from Kent sent an email round to staff at the reinsurance broker firm Guy Carpenter offering birthday treats, according to The Sun. He wrote, there are donuts on Al's desk as it's my birthday today. I hope people like Krispy Kremes. I know Saraja enjoys a glazed ring.
And however, just for the avoidance of doubt, that is a euphemism.
Yeah. However, his gag went horribly wrong when he was suspended pending an investigation. So Soraya Ferosi, a reinsurance broker in his department, did not see the funny side and sent an angry response. She replied, "This is absolutely, totally unacceptable, James. There are limits to jokes you can send at work copying in all your colleagues. This is extremely rude and offensive. Please note this has been forwarded to HR. Happy birthday."
Good on her. Because one gets the feeling again, I talked about the straw that broke the camel's back, but I think this has been going on for some time, these kind of remarks.
I'm guessing he's quite senior in the firm and no one has challenged him on these slightly lewd, slightly crass jokes.
What if he didn't mean it in innuendo? What if he just meant it literally?
What, she enjoys a glazed ring?
Well, I think the glazed ring donut. What if that's all he meant?
Right, okay. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, who knows? And to be honest, I can imagine that may be his defence. Yeah. Maybe he's bought them in before for another birthday and she, made a beeline for the glazed ring. We don't know, Alex.
His defence could be, I'm not aware of innuendo. Like, I can't differentiate between... I take things very literally. I'm not aware of innuendo. And I can't make innuendo or process innuendo.
Yeah, and then proceed to make a load of follow. If it was me, I'd then make a string of innuendos, seeing
just to prove the point.
Yeah, exactly, and then finding no humour in them at all.
Yeah.
So Mr. Comey, a senior vice president of global marine and energy at the firm, has since deleted his LinkedIn profile and Twitter following a huge backlash over his message. A spokesman for Guy Carpenter, which is an insurance group, Marsha McLennan, said, "We take all incidents of harassment very seriously and will not tolerate any behaviour that breaches our code of conduct. Our first priority is to our affected colleague, and we are offering all the support and counselling we can." So yeah.
Okay. Hang on a minute. I know I'm treading on delicate ground here, but support and counselling. If there's been a systemic sort of sexual harassment, then absolutely. But of this one email, you don't need counselling, do you?
No, that's
do you?
True.
I mean, I'm just wondering.
No, because I can't imagine how much. I don't know how much distress this would have caused, really. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, it obviously did cause a distress, though, and I do feel that this is the tip of the iceberg of whatever was going on at that company, because that's how it kind of comes across. But if you were him, right, Rob, let's say you lose your whole career over this, right? You've taken yourself off LinkedIn. You're never going to look at a donut the same way again, are you, after that? Every time you see a donut... No, not her, the guy who fired. He's never going to look at a donut the same way again.
No.
If this ends up being the cause of the ruination of his career, every time he sees a donut, he is going to, experience pretty difficult feelings, I would have thought.
Yeah, I got this really sad image that he comes home to his wife and kids, and she said, "Oh, there's a treat in the kitchen for you. I thought you'd enjoy it." And he walks in there and sees the glazed donut set on the side and just breaks down his tears.
Well, yeah, and it might, yeah. So it's an enduring image, and one to reflect on.
But not for too long.
As he stares down, Rob, into the abyss within his own glazed ring. That's the image.
As his salty tears fall into his glazed ring.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on here, Rob.
Yeah. So I'm going to read a few comments out. Now, the first one is I mean, I get the impression that if I was to meet this commenter, I don't think we'd get on. So Fudge writes,
Fudge?
Whatever happened to having... Fudge, yeah. Whatever happened to having a thick skin and laugh, these snowflakes wouldn't last 30 seconds where I work.
Okay.
So God knows where he works.
Yeah. Probably the Sun newspaper, I imagine.
Yeah. It's probably just Kelvin Mackenzie. The pseudonym.
Oh, okay. I thought what I said was a bit... Okay, but yep, the lawyers will be working hard now, Rob.
Okay, fine. Now, Kevin writes, so... Kent Online carries this article while happily promoting a guy who sells unicorn nipples. Double standard, anyone? Now...
What are you talking about?
I don't know, but I'm going to try and find that story. If there is a man who's claiming to sell unicorn nipples...
Well, it can't be hard to find, Rob. Just put into Google Kent Online unicorn nipples. What have you been doing this week?
Hang on. I haven't looked at the comments, to be honest. Hang on. Kent Online.
Unicorn nipples.
Oh, yes, there we go. Yeah. So, unicorn nipples are a breast seller. Here we go. Lucky unicorn nipples to be stocked by Toy Store in Vietnam. Right, that can be for next week. I'll fudge it and claim it's a listener story.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read one more comment from this story before I move on. So just saying writes, I preferred my ring unglazed, straight as it comes. Horses for courses.
They do say, Rob, that when you stare into your glazed ring, the glazed ring stares back at you.
So I've heard, yeah. Once the burning subsides. Anyway, so my last story again is from Amy. It was originally from I can't remember where it's from, but I tried to find a local story, but I thought, well, there's a good chance we haven't featured the Mirror this week, so here's our obligatory story for the Mirror.
So Amy sent us the obligatory story from the Mirror.
No, she sent me a story from. I think it wasn't the Lad Bible, but it was something like that. And I thought, well, I can't read it off there. I want to find a local story.
Oh, but you couldn't. But you found the Mirror version. Okay.
Yeah. So it's by Jack Wright from the 15th of May, and the headline. Teen claims man stained his towel in gym changing room and it wasn't shampoo.
Semen?
Apparently so, yeah.
Right.
What I love is there's, as it's the Mirror, there's lots of pictures of him outside the gym, which, by the way, is called Pump Gym, holding the towel. Now, if it was me, that towel would have been in the bin by now.
Well, I'll judge once I've heard the story, Rob. I like to have possession of all the facts.
Okay. So police are investigating a teenager's claim that a fellow gym user performed a sex act in his sports towel in the changing rooms. Muhammad Ali, 17, left his towel on the wall railing when he went to the loo inside the changing room following a workout session. He said he heard the door swing open and heavy footsteps, but thought nothing of it until he found his towel had been soiled by a randy gym goer. Firoz Mohammed said nobody was in the changing room when he found the towel, and he complained to the staff the very next day.
Sorry, where was his towel? Just he left it out?
So, I think what happened is, he'd gone to use the bathroom. Yeah, I think he just left it on the side. He left it on a towel rail, basically. And whilst he was obviously in the cubicle using the facilities, he heard the door open to the gym, to the changing rooms, and heavy footsteps. And then the sound of what obviously sounded like a banana being peeled very rapidly.
Are you telling me somebody, masturbated over his towel?
Maybe they've been exposed to something outside the gym, or maybe there's something that obviously piqued their interest, and they just needed to relieve some pressure.
Okay, well let me hear, because there's no proof yet. So okay, come on then.
No. He said workers at Pump Gym in Northampton looked at CCTV and confirmed the stain wasn't shampoo and handed the video to the police.
Sorry, how did they confirm the stain wasn't shampoo? Did they dip a finger in it and taste it? How did they confirm this?
Well, if they saw a man masturbating, it's obviously not going to be shampoo, is it?
No, but nobody says they saw the man masturbating. He says he brought the towel to them and they inspected it and confirmed it wasn't shampoo. Who says they've seen him masturbating? Nobody's seen anybody masturbate, according to your story so far. It's all speculation, isn't it?
That's true. I'm really concerned that someone like, after you brought the towel to them, to inspect, someone just like put the finger and went.
That's what I just said. Yeah, can you imagine all these sort of leisure centre members crowding around this towel? Nah, mate, that ain't shampoo. That's cum, that is. Another person's like, no, it's just a bit of icing sugar and a bit of toothpaste, because it could be. The thing is, Rob, it could be lots of things. I mean, look. Without getting too graphic, there are some brands of shampoo whose texture and colour would be similar to what we're describing.
I agree, Alex. And there was one particular brand that we bought from Aldi until we stopped buying Aldi shampoo because it's shit. That had more. It was identical.
How do you know it wasn't just semen in a tub?
I mean, there's no guarantee of that. I mean, we've already discussed workers in factories getting bored. There's a good chance they just pass around the bottle and all had to go in there. Which is a really horrible image.
Really, Rob. Yeah, you didn't quite have to go there, mate, but nevertheless.
Well, I like to paint a picture, Alex, with words.
Okay, yes.
So, officers from Northamptonshire Police are now investigating. He said, I was only one of 4 people in the gym at the time, I reckon. I went to the toilet for 5 minutes and left my towel on a wall rail by the cubicle. I didn't hear anyone come in. You said you heard the door. I was busy on my phone. I was too busy on my phone to notice.
Doing what, mate? How do we know it wasn't you masturbated over your towel?
I mean, he was in the toilets for 5 minutes. I'm not sure. I mean, he might just. I mean, we can imagine what he was doing there for 5 minutes, and I'm not saying he was masturbating.
So you're saying he was masturbating in the loo with his phone, and somebody else was masturbating on his towel outside? What is this pump gym? What is this pump gym? Is it just a place where people go to pump? I mean,
it's just a bathhouse, Alex. That's all it is.
Right. Okay.
I didn't hear anyone come in, and I was too busy on my phone to notice. I came out and they'd already left, and I was washing my hands when I noticed my towel had been touched, so I opened it and had a closer look.
How do you notice your towel has been touched?
Well, I'm assuming someone taking it off the rail, and then after, if they had indeed ejaculated into it, just folded it over.
So what happened, Robbie? Opened it up. Come on, tell me what happened next.
I could see something white, and at first I thought it was shampoo that had leaked my bag or something. So I went to touch it and give it a smell.
This sounds... Well, oh. This... what the... And to be fair... Smell? This man... There's something wrong with this man, I think, first of all, but... Because that wouldn't be my first reaction. But also, this sounds like a targeted attack, Rob.
Quite possibly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It turned out it was not what I was hoping it would be. The person who had come into the changing room while I was in the toilet masturbated onto my towel. I was so angry.
No evidence.
No, true. I was so angry. So angry. I didn't know what to do. I was raging at this man who came into the changing room, and they were struggling to believe until I showed them. And they said...
Can you imagine him shouting at the leisure centre, "That's soft, let's come on my towel"?
No, I can't imagine that.
So are you saying there's a picture of this, Rob?
There's a picture of him, yeah.
Not a picture of the towel?
No, this is what I mean. There's about 3 pictures of him holding the towel.
I need to see this. I want to see it. Give me the headline.
So teen claims man stained his towel in gym changing room and it wasn't shampoo.
Stained towel, changing room. What paper?
Mirror.
Here we go. Because I think I need to judge. I need to judge this. Here we go. Oh, why did Google do this? Where you've got to agree to their fucking thing. Right, here we go. Right, what a stupid pic. Yeah, why are you holding the towel? Pump gyms. I guess because it's a dark brown towel, you would very clearly see a stain on there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Just to round off the story, so waiter Mohammed usually hits the weights between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Strange choice. To avoid the busy period, and said the incident happened around 1 a.m. on May 2nd.
Sorry, what kind of gym's open till 1 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah.
I don't think this Pump's gym is all it seems to be, my friend.
I mean,
maybe he's unaware of the establishment he's in.
Possibly. Also, it's a bad choice of words on the mirror's part. So, Mohammed said he was so yeah, there's 4 so's there. He was so angry and didn't know what to do and accidentally erupted at the first person who walked into the changing rooms.
I think that's quite deliberate on the I think that's quite deliberate on the Mirror journalist's part, Rob.
Yeah, possibly. And as we've already stated, the North Hampshire police are investigating the incident.
Okay, well, it's this time in the week, Rob, we'd normally say it's time for our listener story of the week, which I was about to do, but then forgot this is a listener story special. So do you want me to, if you'll pardon the pun, finish us off with a...
I wish you would, Alex. I've been asking many a time. And
okay. Okay, this is from Amy. Rob, we've got to do this. From the Nottinghamshire Live. We'll finish with this. By Jamie Barlow on June the 15th. And if Amy's listening, she's probably thinking, what story is it? Well, it's this one. Are you ready, Rob?
I am.
Woman who made car booster seat for pet raven devastated after it goes missing, Rob. And the strapline is simply the quote, "It takes a certain person to keep a raven."
I mean, I cannot dispute that. That's definitely true.
A woman who made a booster seat for a pet raven in her car has been left devastated after the bird went missing.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. What?
Michelle Meller, no relation to David, I assume, 56, hand-reared Freya, a black captive raven who she took everywhere with her. She even took Freya in the car, crafting the bird a makeshift booster seat in the passenger seat. But Freya went missing last month, and Miss Meller is frantically on the lookout. Now, to me, Freya went missing because she's sick of this strange life where she's being forced to sit in the passenger seat of a car in a fucking booster seat.
Yeah, it sounds like this raven is some sort of substitute for a child by the sound of it, and so I think it's fed up of being treated like this, and finally made her getaway.
Mrs. Meller, who lives with husband Keith, 56, an engineer, and her mother-in-law in Westland Avenue, Hucknall, said she was absolutely, totally devastated. I have to say, I feel a bit for Keith, because not only does he live with his mother-in-law, but he also lives with Mrs. Meller, who has an unhealthy attachment to a raven. So it's not great for him. She believes somebody may have Freya, who is now 15 weeks old, Rob. She's from captive bred parents, she says. She's one that will not have to be released into the wild. She works part-time, by the way, Rob, Mrs. Meller, at Morrison's in Bulwell, if you wanted to know.
It's good to know.
I have a cushion next to her I put in the van. She travels with me everywhere. It takes a certain person to keep a raven. They do not make good pets unless you're willing to give it 100% of your time. I work 3 to 3 and 3.75 hours. That's the longest I ever leave her. She's with me all the time. The raven travelled in a cage which Mrs. Meller described as a dog crate, featuring a toy and a perch. She added, she has the anklets and the jesses, like leather and a lead. I'm seeing a picture of her. But what's weird is she talks about this raven like she's had it for so long, but it's only 15 weeks old.
This woman has issues. I'm sorry to say. How is she that attached to a raven?
She says, I used to take her to the car and open the cage. The cage is fastened to the seat so it can't move about. When she was just on the seat, I found she was looking around, trying to look up at the birds through the window. Then I put like a cushion to boost it up so she could see out the window. What happened was, I was taking her to the car, one of the dogs for some reason rushed in front of me and tripped me over. When I fell, she went up and the wind was so strong, it just took her. If it had not been so windy, she would not have gone. This woman's insane! It's a bird!
No, the reason that bird is looking up...
It flaps its wings and flies!
Yeah, I cannot disagree. I mean, the reason this bird is looking longingly at the birds in the trees is because it wishes it was doing the same and isn't being treated like a pseudo-dog child.
Rob, can I just point out that the scene she just described was like something out of a cheap BBC sitcom, a la Mrs. Brown's Boys. I'm walking to the car with the bird in the cage.
Yep.
One of her dogs comes out, rushes in front of her, trips her over. The bird comes out of the cage, and in her mind, the only way she can explain the loss of this bird is that, of course, the wind came and carried it away. When actually, the bird flew away gleefully.
Yeah. She seems to have forgotten that the fundamental abilities that birds have are to fly.
Unless she broke its wings, making sure it could never fly and leave her, Rob. Mrs. Mellor, I take that back. That was said in the name of jest.
I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah. Mrs. Mellor has been looking after corvids, a family of birds including crows, ravens, rooks and jackdaws for several years. She helps a charity called the Guardian Angels Bird Sanctuary based in Wood Street, Eastwood. Most of the birds she's looked after are later released back into the wild. Oh, okay, so maybe we've been unfair on her. But Freya is special as she's been bred in captivity and is not used to the wild. Mrs. Mellor has reported the missing raven to the RSPCA. Good luck with that. Rebecca Blagg, founder of the Guardian Angels Bird Sanctuary, explained Mrs. Mellor helped out when the sanctuary was overwhelmed. She wanted a pet raven forever, she said. She's never had children. This was her child. I have never seen her look so poorly. Freya even used to sleep in a cage at the side of her bed. That's how close they were.
I called it. I fucking called it. Seriously.
And if you think you've seen Freya, please don't call this number. Just let Freya live a healthy, free life. Sophie125 says Freya had a lucky escape.
Yes, absolutely.
Knobjock simply says,
"Wow,
it obviously it obviously made its break when it could to get away from this loony." Lincoln Magpie says, "Bring on Catwoman." I don't know what that's in reference to.
No.
Gedling Boy says, "So a 15-week-old bird suddenly decides it needs freedom and got it. It's a wild bird instinct, unfortunately." Vic Centaur says this lady needs some specialist help rather than being subjected to ridicule in her local paper.
I mean, again, we should not be laughing at that comment because I think it absolutely he's bang on there.
What a story to finish with there. And on that note, Rob, I think we have to bring this bumper episode of LA Podcast. I shouldn't be using the word bumper. Why am I doing it? I said before, it sounds like I'm a children's ITV presenter from the mid-90s. But nevertheless, we do bring this bumper episode of LA Podcast to a close, Rob. As we look forward with a mixture of eager anticipation yet trepidation to our next episode, which will be episode 279. As we move ever more forward, Rob, like a bird who unfortunately has been sort of imprisoned to live this very sad substitute child life, living in a cage, Rob, next to somebody's bed, being ferried around in a car, mixed metaphor there I know, but in a booster seat and presumably pushed around in a pram on weekends and fed Heinz baby food, and that bird then escaping, making its bid for freedom as soon as it possibly could. I think it worked with the dogs, Rob. It said, right, you trip her up and I'll get out.
Yeah. After which point, the dog then mauled her and ran off.
Just like that, we move ever more forward to our next episode, which will be episode 279. Now, look, we can be found on our website, lapodcast.net. From there, you can download every single episode since 2012 for free. There is a donate button in the top right hand corner if you feel like giving us a tip, giving us a donation to help us keep funding this podcast. Please do that. It's very easy to do. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/LA Podcast. We're on Twitter at LA Podcast. You want to submit us a story, send it to lapodcast.net@gmail.com or post it on Facebook or tweet it to us. But the email address is lapodcast.net@gmail.com. And we are on YouTube if you want to search for LA Podcast.net. And we are also on Spotify. We're pretty much everywhere, Rob.
Yeah.
We are ubiquitous.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
But Rob, have we got a theme to spell out the word anaesthetic for our listeners? Because LA Podcast stands for local anaesthetic, and we do like our listeners to know how to spell anaesthetic. Get on with it, Rob, because we're running out of time.
Well, I mean, we
really get on with it.
TV shows?
TV shows. Okay. Cripes, I've forgotten how to spell anaesthetic again. Shall I start?
You start.
I don't think we can have like a something. It has to be a program starting with A.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm trying to think of a word, but okay.
Yeah, I was struggling. I was hoping you'd come up with something.
No. There must be plenty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely fabulous.
Oh, brilliant.
You,
okay, there we go. Neighbours.
Absolutely fabulous. No, I can't have that. Adam and Joe. Is there an Adam and Joe program?
Oh, the Adam and Joe show. Yeah.
Can I have that?
Yeah, Steve.
Okay.
It's on Channel 4. EastEnders.
Swallow. I was going to say Swallow, but that was a tabled idea for a TV show by Alan Partridge.
That's correct. Yes, it
was. Scissor Dial, which was an Alan Partridge special.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Travel Man.
Is that a program?
Yeah, with Richard Iowadi.
Okay. H. Heroes.
Yeah. E.
Emmerdale Farm.
Thank you. Yeah.
Or El Dorado, even.
Nice.
We're on T now, Rob.
Oh, okay.
It's me now. It's a movie.
T.
Hang on, it's not hard. Oh, hang on. It's coming to me. Shush. Why are we so bad at this? It's just T.
I don't know. And the amount of fucking TV shows are out there. I mean, you've just pulled out El Dorado, for fuck's sake. There has to be something. T. Come on.
Can we just give up?
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Okay, go then. I.
No, Ivanhoe? Is that
Indigo Blue, the TV show from the 70s, and
brilliant.
Cops. God bless everybody.
Yeah, and keep it local.